Welcome to Real Estate 360 with real estate expert Ken Renner. And Ken, reminded me, it's been right at 1 year since you and I first met, and I have to give you a thank you and some kudos. How do you take compliments?
Oh,
are you good at it?
Thank you.
I've learned a lot from you.
And it makes sense.
And it makes sense. It's plain kind of English math, you've simplified a lot of the real estate stuff. And so one of the things that you're a lot of things, but one of them, I don't know if you've ever called yourself, but you're an educator.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I find that a well-educated client is a less stressed client, and they know why they're doing it and how they're going to do it, as opposed to just winging it. And so, yeah, I'm big on the education. In fact, I'm a state licensed educator for TREC for Texas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and so it's been really good, because I think people really know the reality and the reality of real estate and the reality of Austin.
Yeah.
They really start to wrap their mind around that they can do this. And and I teach, one of the simple strategies is buy one house a year for 10 years and pay it off in 20. And you're pretty much financially free. You're done.
Right.
And we do have, and some of the examples I'm going to show, people buying a lot more than that and building up portfolios very quickly, because we are in one of the best places in America, actually, ranked as #1 best place to live in America by U.S. News and World Report 3 years in a row. So much attention coming here, and there's so many people that have been, the city's exploded. It's doubled in size since I moved here in 1993.
Yeah.
And I moved here for the same reasons, is to build a portfolio of real estate and to serve. And I came out here and I was just enamored by what Austin is. It's not like what you picture the typical Texas is.
It's the oasis of Texas.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Hawaii of Texas.
Right. Exactly. It's kind of like a beach town without a beach.
Well, we got the lake.
We got Lake Travis and Lake Austin. Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I've been the Pied Piper ever since I moved here. In fact, even before I moved here, of telling people on the coast, hey, come out and check this place out. And people do. And a lot of people are relocating. My clients are relocating, and a lot of them are just parking their money here. And so that's why I'm there to make it easy for them and make them feel safe and secure.
Now you have an opportunity for people to come out and learn quite a bit from you, right?
Well, yeah. In fact, we were going to talk a little bit about that. This was my bus tour that we had back in. This is our group that came out. We had a full bus, I think about 14 or 15 people, and they bought a substantial amount of real estate from me. But it was building community, and that's what I'm looking at doing, is building a community of investors that know why they're doing it, what they're doing. And so education is a key part of that.
Right. So, and what all does it involve?
Well, the first thing is I always like to keep updated on the current stats, because we've got to know where we're at in the market now.
Sure.
They're also studying history and historical trends, and then a lot of other factors involved in that. A lot of relationship factors, especially with relationships with builders and other realtors that I have that took 25 years here in Austin to build.
Right.
So I did want to kind of go over those stats, because it's been 3 months since the whole the world changed, right?
Yeah.
So it's now it's July 1st, 2020, and so I think it was about March 17th when we had that conversation.
Right.
But in March, though, if you look at it, the prices went up 11% from the year before. And so that is from 11%. That's a really fast clip.
Yeah.
And the other stat here that's very interesting is 1.6 month supply of inventory.
Right.
That's very, very, very low for a city of 2 million people to only have less than 5,000 listings for sale. 1.6 is an extreme seller's market.
Right.
And then we moved into April when things were pretty much full-fledged. We're still seeing a price increases 3%, and then also 2.1 months of supply. 6 to 6.5 months is a normal supply of houses.
That gives us perspective.
It's been like this since 2015.
Wow.
So that's the state of the market. Here's Travis County. Once again, this is for May, and that is we're at about almost 400,000 a median price, and it's gone up 4% from last year. So we're not seeing price decreases. We get a lot of my clients saying, "Hey, is there some really good deals out there?" I'm saying, no, it's like get what you can get.
Right.
The builders are all raising their prices, and I was telling you before the show that I put a contract on a property at midnight last night because the prices were going up $14,000.
Wow.
And they did. And so now that's my 14,000 because I've got it locked in at a lower price. And that's
Right.
kind of what we teach. A lot of our to be built construction properties end up, by the time people close on it, they may have $10,000, $12,000 in equity.
Wow.
So
That's
it's
nice.
really, yeah, it's great great return. I mean, if you think you're putting maybe 20% down on a property and you walk away with 5% bump just for buying it,
Right.
it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'd like to feel that someday.
Yeah, well, so it's just putting a little bit of money, a little bit of earnest money to put your foot in the door and let the builder take the risk of building it 6-8 months from now. You decide whether you want it or not.
Right.
You know,
We talked about that in previous episodes.
So let's explain a little bit over the year that we've been doing this. One of the reasons why we did the podcast, Real Estate 360s, every one of those is meant to educate and to give insider knowledge of the real estate industry, specifically for Austin. And that's why each one's 20 minutes long, has a subject, and they're used really as tools, informational tools, to answer most of the questions that I get over the last 3 decades of doing this. And so it's important that our clientele that are watching these 360s go back and look at those previous episodes. Every one of them is part of this presentation that I've been doing for many, many years. A couple decades I've been doing Austin investment webinar or seminar. I'd go out live to Southern California, Northern California, Phoenix, East Coast, and present Austin as a great place to invest and a great place to move to.
Right.
And so I want to cover that a little bit. I want to cover what I'm going to have a series of these coming up where it's the Austin investment webinar, where you can watch for 45 minutes, deep dive of what I do and teach exactly my methodology and everything that we talked about on these podcasts for this last year, but in a 45-minute format.
Nice.
And then what we'll do is we later on in the week, we'll do what I call a deep dive. And that's a live presentation where we actually go in and do a virtual bus tour. So instead of us actually getting all in the bus and driving around, I go use Google Earth and use all the websites and I use all the stats and I use everything. And I actually put life to it as if you were riding on the bus with us, looking at these different properties, including videos of specific properties. The problem is that the inventory turns over so fast.
Right. I was just about to ask you about that.
Yes. What I'm showing you, what I tell my clients I have available this week is going to be gone by next week, but there's a whole new set. And we're always constantly researching for the best sweet spot. We'll talk a little bit about what that sweet spot entails. So just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a Cliff Note version of what the webinar will cover. Like I said, it's about 45 minutes long. I'm just going to kind of throw up some slides. It's really it's how to invest in turnkey properties. In other words, put your head on the pillow. And in Austin, Texas, Silicon Valley of the South, with minimal time, effort, and capital. The bottom line is that most of my clients are, very busy, whether it be high tech or medical. They're very busy. They don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So they want to put their trust in somebody who they can sit and go into our system. And they don't want to put a whole lot of effort because they could put it in the stock market, which is kind of scary these days. But at least that's not a lot of effort, right?
Yeah.
And then not a lot of capital. I mean, we're talking minimal amount of $50,000 or $40,000. I mean, it is a chunk of change, but for a real estate investment, that's a lot less than you would pay in the coast to try to get things going. So, one of the basis of our presentation is the disparity between the values in the West Coast and here in Austin. So kind of showed you this chart before, this picture before. This is a house one of my clients sold in San Mateo, California for $1.4 million. It's a three bedroom, one bath house with a 1-car garage built in the 50s. It was nicely renovated. $1.4 million. This is what $1.4 million buys you in Austin, Texas. 4,500 square foot custom house, 5-car garage on the lake. So, this is kind of a wake up scene now that people can now work from home. A lot of the companies are saying, well, great, look, work from this home instead of this home.
Yeah, we don't care where you are.
Yeah, come on out.
Right.
And we actually seen that. We talked about that in the show. The office spaces may not be nearly as much in demand as it was. Now, you could also take this one house like Mr. Bill did, I call him Mr. Bill, that's his first name, who sold this house And he did what's called a 1031 tax deferred exchange and bought these 9 houses from me, and all brand new right here in the Central Texas region. He went from a rent that he was collecting of $3,200 a month here to over $13,000 rent here.
Yep. Yeah. Wow.
So just as my perfect client would be somebody who owns one of these as a primary residence and maybe one of these as a rental. He can sell that one, or she can sell it and buy one of these from me here in Austin, Texas, and then the other house can go for these 9 houses where he doesn't have to work anymore.
Right.
So that's my perfect client. So if you're out there, please
find Ken. He's easy to find.
And it kind of when I go through the presentation, I redid it about a year ago because I wanted people love stories, and this is my true story, and I'm not going to go deep into it, but it's about my Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is one of the episodes.
We're one of our first ones,
right? And that had to do with my father was in the military, attorney, and he was a real estate attorney, but he never really kept his real estate over the years. He bought and sold. So this is actually the house that I lived in 1963 when I was born. He retired from the military. It's on Lexington Lane. I think it's about
cool house,
1,200 square feet out there in San Mateo as well. And he paid $17,000 for this house with a VA loan, zero down. Okay. And so that house now is worth $1.6 million with no renovations on it. So that's one of the things that I said, well, what if he just kept every house that he lived in? We lived in about 12 houses over the course of his lifetime. I figured that up. It was about over $10 million in real estate, and it would have been all free and clear by now.
Wow.
Just by the houses we lived in, not counting if you invest it.
Right.
So another good point that we do in the presentation is going to be talking about predictabilities of the market, counter cycles. Okay, so a lot of people don't know about this, and what it is that Austin and California and the coast are on somewhat of a counter cycle market. When California is booming, Austin can be tanking. It's not always, but this is a pretty close representation. And if you play these markets where you sell at the peaks and buy in the troughs and do it tax deferred like we teach in our classes, you can get very wealthy very quickly. And so the counter cycles is what makes people.
And this is all going to be covered even more in more
in
detail.
the Austin Investment Webinar.
Right. Okay.
AustinInvestmentWebinar.com.
Okay.
So that's my master class that I'm teaching, and then there's going to be more follow-up information. But it's really, this is the presentation that I do live when I'm out.
Gotcha.
And there's 2 real presentations. The first one is the whys and the hows, and why should I invest in real estate, and how should I and who should I invest with, and what kind of real estate should I invest in, and who should I team up with. And then the second part of it is getting to another deep dive is going into, here's what the inventory is, here's what it's done, here's what your rents are going to be, here's what your positive cash flow is going to be every month, here's how it's going to typically perform. So we're going to be talking about also the team that we put together. This is you in the middle, Sandy, the millionaire real estate investor.
Yeah.
But then all this is the support circles. Your inner circle would include me and other important people that are professionals, and you got your support circle, which is people that help make the transaction go, and then the management circle. So but we handle all this. So this is the thing. This is the team that I put together that I have that most realtors and most brokers don't have, because most brokers don't do what I do. And that's something you want a specialist when you're doing it. We talked about that.
And it ties into what you said earlier about most of your clients don't have time.
No.
And they just want to hand it off and know that you have a team like that.
And they also want somebody that they can trust. Somebody who has a team. Somebody is not. I mean, there's 13,500 agents in Austin, but very few specialize in what I do, which is specifically targeting great properties and great areas that are, most of the stuff we do is newer, and because I like new construction, I keep buying new construction and selling my old ones to buy new construction, because why? It's new.
Right.
And I have very low maintenance factor, very low low hassle factor. Oh, and it played into what's been going on with the whole pandemic thing is that our houses, when our investors closed on those houses, they're empty, brand new houses.
Right.
People were clamoring to
Sure,
rent those.
sure.
Why? They didn't have germs in them. They didn't have to worry about going into somebody's tenant-occupied house and wondering if they have it. So there was another big coup as people were coming in and getting the vacant, brand new houses
Right.
and renting them.
Right.
And so this is kind of one of the charts that I spend a little bit of time on in the presentation. This is talking about where the sweet spots of the market is, the actual house. Do we buy towards the top of the price range or the middle of the price range? Well, there's a sweet spot right here. And I go into deep detail. You can buy cheap properties in Buffalo, New York or Indianapolis that maybe $30,000, $40,000, but they'll never go up in value. They have high hassle factors. They have high turnover. We try to stay in the below the medium price point, and that's where everything seems to converge. So that's one of the things that we spend a lot of time on. Just kind of also going to show you what a typical Texas real estate investment, 1,600, 1,700 square foot, one story, brand new. This one happened to be about $200,000, and it's renting for about $1,700 per month, and those numbers work really well. As part of the presentation, when you attend the Austin Investment webinar, I'll send you a pro forma tool. This is basically a spreadsheet that you plug in. You can plug in numbers. It doesn't matter if it's Austin or anywhere else. And it's a great spreadsheet to show you what your cash on cash return is. Engineers love it, and they can play with the numbers. They can tweak it. They can change the interest rate, the tax rate, and everything like that. And it's only a few things that you have to plug in, and it just spits out what the return is going to be. So that's kind of some of the bullet points. I'll also go over some of the lifestyle things, about Austin. People just don't realize how beautiful and green it is.
Right.
And then we give you an opportunity to join one of our bus tours. But in the meantime, while we're not doing any bus tours, we're going to do the virtual bus tours.
Right.
And so what it is, like tomorrow, I'm going to New Braunfels, which is a suburb of Austin between San Antonio and here. And I'll be taking my video camera with me, and my marketing partner will be there, and we'll be taking videos in real time of what's available right now. And that goes right out to our investor group, because what I'm going to show you tomorrow isn't going to be there 2 weeks from now.
Right.
All right. So, and then this was our group of investors that came out on this bus ride in January, and they bought this many properties, actually more than this from me. So, and what was great about it is that it was community. People, a lot of them knew each other, and it was also a great way to the newbies were being educated and mentored by the ones that had already been involved in real estate. So that's what's fun about these things, and that's what I'm looking at, is building community with the Austin Investment webinar, showing people how to do this. Also, not ignoring people who want to relocate here. Like I said, we were talking about the whole thing of people working from home. I just had a filmmaker buy a beautiful house in Rough Hollow, which is in Lakeway. It's a really nice area. And he was commuting an hour and a half to downtown LA each way every day. And when he got sequestered at home, he could still do his work. His bosses said, "You're doing just a great job. In fact, you're more productive from home. Maybe there's less distractions there. So you can actually live from anywhere.
Nice.
You can live anywhere. You can work from anywhere." And so that's what would like to get in front of, is not just the people who want to build a nice big portfolio of properties quickly and relatively inexpensively, but also looking for those reloads, the people that want to come out here. Let me take them on a tour, show them what Austin's all about, and it's like a kid in a candy store.
Sure, I bet it is.
Because the value of the houses are about 1/4 of what you can get in the coast. So I'm showing them that little 1-bedroom or 3-bedroom house that I had there. That in Austin would be about $250, $220. Out there it was $1.4 million.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it's just opening up people's eyes, educating, being excited and passionate about it. I've been doing it for 35 years, 25 years here in Austin. I came from California to do the same thing that I'm teaching my clients now, and have been for many years. And I've sold well over 1,000 houses to real estate investors. And I guide them all the way through it from start to finish and to disposition, help them get it leased, help them get it managed, the whole 9 yards.
You do a lot of stuff.
Been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like you and your radio show. You've been doing it for a while. I mean, you do it in your sleep, right?
Right. I just wish I had more sleep. That's all. Again, so the where people can go for the bigger deep dive on this
It's going to be
information?
austininvestmentwebinar.com.
Okay.
So, and it will also be tying my other website, which is buyaustin.com. Will be directed right there for the next several months.
All right. Ken, good seeing you, man.
All right. Thanks.
It's been a good year.
512-423-5626. Has been a good year, and I appreciate all of your efforts and
You bet.
your advocacy.
Check it out.
Thanks a lot.